Good morning, guys. So I'm going to make a quick video and recap what we did yesterday, so you can add this to your notebook, and you can do this before we meet today or after, it doesn't matter. So in our table of contents, or on our table of contents page, we added page 4, comparing numbers. Your page might be different depending on what yours looks like at home, but make sure you put comparing numbers. So if you want, you can pause right here and write that down, because I am going to move on. So you have that ability to pause me, which is good, so you don't have to watch a super long video. I put this with your work last Friday in the office, so hopefully you have this. So we just labeled our page number 4 and labeled it comparing numbers. I cut off on the top of this page, it said rounding. I cut that off. These are just 2 vocab words. Round is the answer that you put in this fill in the blank, and to estimate is below it. We kind of talked about this yesterday, but for about like 30 seconds, because we just needed this in our notebook. We're not using it yet. Here, I just crossed out the word rounding because, again, I mixed up 2 lessons and I was going ahead of myself. So we just talked about our greater than, less than, or equal to symbols. So I told the kids, think about these symbols like an alligator mouth, and the open side is the side that has invisible teeth. You can draw them in, but that's the alligator mouth. So the alligator always opens towards the bigger number, no matter what. The way we read these, and I told the kids yesterday, is we learn to read a book from left to right. And that might look backwards just because I'm on a screen, but we read from left to right. So that's how you can tell the difference between the symbols if there are no numbers by them. Since the bigger side is open here when we read from left to right, you know that's the greater side first, so that's the greater than symbol. And then you know that this is the less than symbol because the smaller side is what you read first when you read left to right. You see the smaller point, then it gets larger, so this is less than. So you use this symbol to compare numbers. So in class, there was no symbol here at first when we did this together, and I said 1,919. Is that greater than, less than, or equal to 1,991? We are using larger numbers this year, not all the time, not every day, but we need to practice it. So I showed the kids how to stack their numbers, and you just make sure they're stacked in straight columns, and you match their place values. And what I mean by that is, here are the ones matched up, the tens are lined up, the hundreds are lined up, and then the thousands are lined up. And you start by comparing the numbers on the biggest side, and that's because sometimes you can have a number that's smaller, but it has more in the ones. The digit in the ones might be larger, but that doesn't mean the whole number is bigger. So we start comparing on the biggest place first. We look at the 2 digits, 1 and 1, and we know they're the same, so I can't compare these 2 numbers. So that's all I did in class. We went to the hundreds. The 9 and the 9 digits are the same. They're equivalent. They're equal to each other, so we can't compare these 2 numbers. Then we went here, and we said this digit 9 is larger or greater than this digit 1. So we knew that 1,991 had to have the mouth open to it because the alligator is going to eat that. Now, the biggest thing you need to know is, on a state test or on a district test, if it asks you to type your answer and it says, how did you know that 5 was greater than 2? You cannot put, I know 5 is greater because the alligator ate 2. That is not a strategy, it's just a trick we use. So you would say, I know that 5 ones is larger than 2 ones. So just keep that in mind. We are going to work with greater than or less than. The one thing I wanted to point out was equivalent. When we talk about the word equivalent, it means equal to, but sometimes, and it's very rare, but they'll do it, they'll ask, what is this model equivalent to? And my kids said there are 300, and I'm sorry, my camera quality is not great right now. They said, what is this model equal to? And they said there's 1, 2, 300s, so they wrote a 300 in their answer. They said there are 2 tens, so that's 10, 20. So they put a 2 in the tens place, and then they said there's 1, 2, 3 ones, so they put a 3 in the ones place. So 323 is equivalent to this top model. So that would be the weirdest thing that you might see, or something that we're not used to. But that's all we talked about yesterday, and then they finished a worksheet from last Friday, and you didn't have the worksheet, you had an online assignment. So just join me at our normal time today. I believe it's 11:50, and then we will go from there. All right, talk to you later.